We both have the same passion, which is to chase down hazardous wild creatures, particularly those that are a menace to people. My companion and I share this passion. For this occasion, we made the decision to travel back to his hometown, which is currently inhabited by wild boars. Even though we were aware that it would not be a simple task, we did not let that deter us. We had a positive attitude, and we were more than prepared to dive headfirst into the action going on. Take a ride with us and experience this exhilarating journey us together. It wasn't too late for us to arrive at the hunting spot. Following a brief discussion with the crew about the approach, we retrieved our well-known hunting guns and then proceeded to leave. When the sound of the hunting dogs barking caught our attention, we had not climbed very far up the mountain for quite some time. There was a wild boar that was going in and out of the thick brush, and I rushed closer to see it. In a moment of sudden fright, it sprang forward. To my good fortune, I was able to react quickly and fire a shot that was both clean and decisive, thereby preventing the ambush from even beginning. The boar abruptly fell to the ground. When I was in that life-or-death situation, my heart was still beating really fast. One of my friends had also taken down a boar, and it was just a short distance up the mountain. The still air was pierced by the sound of gunshots that rang out. The boar was unable to maintain its equilibrium and fell down the slope. Following the signal that I received from my pal approximately 10 minutes later, I shifted my position. There was a dense forest cover here. Keeping a high level of awareness was necessary since a boar could charge out at any moment. I was about to finish that idea when I suddenly became aware of a dark blur hurrying toward me. My reflexes caused me to fire a number of swift and accurate rounds, but thank God, none of them arrived at their intended target immediately. Although I must confess that being out here by myself with only my rifle was a little nerve-wracking, instinct and experience kicked in and helped me get through it. In spite of the unexpected nature of the scenario, I was able to maintain my composure and manage it in a clean manner. Following the anxious moments, we waited around for almost 30 minutes without seeing any signs of movement throughout that time. It is likely that the earlier gunfire caused the boars to retreat even further into cover. We departed in order to search, and then we were aware of it. Rustling sounds of footsteps can be heard in the distance. I said to myself, "There's a boar down there," and then put my finger on the trigger as quickly as I could. A resounding success. The shot was precisely placed, and the boar fell to the ground immediately. We had just about enough time to rejoice when all of a sudden, another bunch of boars emerged from the forest. No hesitation on my part. I had already started firing my firearm. A number of other people were eliminated in a matter of seconds. On this particular day, it seemed as though fortune was on our side. A friend of mine had been pursuing a boar all the way down to the bottom of the mountain while this was going on. It was necessary for him to remain still and wait outside because the dense foliage obscured his view. At some point, the boar came into view, and with a single shot that was both clean and accurate, it was gone forever. Despite the fact that we were all exhausted from that arduous pursuit, we managed to make our way back together, bringing to a close a day of hunting that was exciting, action-packed, and unforgettable. My uncle's farm in Texas was completely destroyed by a herd of wild boars in the span of a single night. In spite of the fact that he was a seasoned hunter, he was easily overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of pigs and their brazenness this time. Due to the fact that he had no other option, he requested assistance from our hunting crew. Following the completion of the strategy, we directly started our search on the land that belonged to my uncle. We installed automatic feeders in order to entice the boars to come in. Distracted by the aroma of food, the pigs arrived in a hurry, eagerly searching for whatever scraps of food they could find. Maris gradually took her position, locked on her target, and then fired a single clean shot. 1, 2, 3. This occurred while their guard was down. Her ability to drop the boar was astounding, and she did so with complete assurance. During the same time period, my friend Enda and I discovered a few additional boars hiding in the vicinity. Once I was close enough, I selected my target, and then I pulled the trigger. A lead pellet fired from my airgun made contact with the body of the boar. Surprisingly, it gave forth a piercing shriek before slumping to the ground. I didn't win by a significant margin, but it was a win nevertheless, and that got me pumped up. Seeing that there is power in numbers, we dispersed ourselves over the region in order to increase our chances. Every single one of us concentrated very hard, aimed with great care, and fired our rounds quickly and decisively. The aim is to drop as many as you can before the sun goes down that night. The following afternoon, we went back out on the farm grounds to continue the hunt. Almost immediately after our arrival, we came upon a sizable herd of fully grown boars. They stood motionless, monitoring us with a wary eye. Almost instantly, I brought one into my line of sight and fired. Even with a single shot, one of them was able to hit the ground immediately. Next, we walked toward another feeder that we had already positioned. Despite the fact that they were still caught in the invisible trap of their appetite, the boars had not yet noticed us. As I waited for the ideal shot, I positioned my rifle in a prone position from a high vantage point. After a single squeeze of the trigger and a loud crack as the rifle exited the barrel, the boar fell to the ground in an instant. During the time that the sun was setting, we continued to spread feed and waited. In accordance with their nature, the gluttonous pigs were unable to resist the aroma, regardless of where they were located. I moved closer to them while concealing myself behind a shrub and keeping a distance from them. When I was certain that my target was within striking distance, I pulled the trigger. Only one shot that was well placed was all that was required to bring the hog down. After the sun had set, we went back to our enclosed hunting blinds to complete the last round of the game. I positioned myself in a favorable position, brought my aim into focus, and then shot when the time was right. The execution was flawless. The shadowy figure retreated and lay down in a position that was perfectly still. Despite the fact that it is a well-known moniker, the wild boar is a real horror for our neighborhood. It is not enough for them to simply enter our fields. They also boldly rummage through residential neighborhoods, destroying crops and causing commotion both during the day and overnight. Our hunting crew had no choice but to trek deep into the hazardous swamplands in order to eliminate this crafty beast. This is the place where they hide, reproduce, and form their packs. This time, we were going to meet up at a swampy region that was located just near to Wayne's house. In order to travel, we decided to use an airboat. During the time that the boat was moving forward at a rapid speed, the noise of the engine could be heard reverberating through the air. While seated on the deck, we were all in position, our eyes fixed intently on the task at hand. Over there, I raised my rifle without any hesitation and fired the trigger with pinpoint accuracy. After only 5 seconds, the animal was unable to put up any resistance and fell to the ground. A wonderful way to begin the hunt for today. Another target had surfaced in my view. Its instincts must have been awakened by the sound of the motor, which caused it to charge ahead in a highly reckless manner. Nevertheless, regardless of how quickly it ran, even at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, it was unable to outrun the icy and strong muzzle of our weapon. The marsh has developed into a paradise for wild boars as a result of the abundant food supply that it provides. After only 10 minutes, Lionel discovered a boar that had strayed directly into his line of sight. Despite the jolts that the engine was making, he immediately moved in on the target, clenching his rifle tightly, and then opened fire in rapid succession. Incredible. We were successful in accomplishing our goal in spite of the challenging terrain. Now, in the center of the enormous marsh, the wild boar lay immobile, nothing more than a shadow against the backdrop of the wetland. After completing the frantic hunt that took place the day before, we went into an area that had trees that were taller and more densely packed the following afternoon. Through the use of binoculars, our group was able to identify a big herd of wild boars that were actively foraging on the ground. We approached cautiously, steadily closing the distance between us and selecting the best possible shooting positions. There was a palpable sense of expectation in the air. "It's a straight shot!" The marsh was filled with the reverberation of a resounding gunshot, which caused one of the boars to immediately stop dead in its tracks. Wayne was discreetly following a different target through the marshlands, which were located deeper within the area. In order to improve the precision of his shots, he reduced the distance between himself and the target by taking calculated steps. There was no hesitation on his part when the time was perfect. He discharged the gun. Just right. The bullet sped forward and struck the bull square on the bottom of the target. A single cry was sent out by it before it immediately collapsed on the spot. After traveling a few hundred meters further in, I suddenly became aware of a dark figure that was familiar to me peeping out from behind the thick trees. After quickly moving closer, I positioned myself in the appropriate position and waited for the boar to become completely visible. The gun rang out, which caused the boar to flee in a state of shock. However, based on our extensive experience, we were aware that it would not go very far. As expected, it fell down approximately 10 meters distant from the location. Due to the rough and difficult-to-reach terrain, the majority of hunters steer clear of this marsh. It is ironic that this has made it possible for wild boars to flourish much more. Because of this, we have continued our hunts in order to keep their population under control and to safeguard the farms in the surrounding area. Despite the fact that I have participated in a number of intensive hunts, the wild boar hunt that took place in the coniferous woods of Siberia stands out as one of the most memorable experiences of my life. Not only were there a great number of boars in this area, but they were also enormous and vicious. Before engaging in this epic confrontation, we made sure to thoroughly prepare ourselves because we were going up against such lethal weaponry. Following their departure from the farm, the group made their way into the wooded setting. The dogs were immediately set free, and they promptly dispersed themselves in order to locate the prey. When I heard the impulse to bark reverberate through the woods, my heart raced as I hurried quickly in the other direction. Immediately after spotting the boar, I fired without any hesitation, so ensuring that it had no opportunity to flee. Just a short distance away, another boar was taken out by the vicious attack of the hounds, as well as a bullet from one of our guns that was aimed just precisely. Almost immediately after that, a number of additional boars were killed. It was tough to aim at some of them because they were running at astonishing speeds and were still at a good distance away. We continued to maintain our resolve and remain focused on our objectives. Within the span of half an hour, we were able to eradicate a sizable number of these potentially deadly boars. When a large boar, easily weighing more than 90 kilograms, suddenly emerged from the underbrush and charged across a green field like a black tornado, it was the most unexpected moment that occurred. Although I was taken aback by its speed, I was able to discharge my weapon just in the nick of time. The bullet struck its target, and the beast fell to the ground after only a few steps had been taken in confusion. We hunted non-stop until the afternoon, and nobody even considered taking a break from our pursuit. There was a steady reverberation of gunshots throughout the peaceful forest, with each shot successfully destroying a target. An electrifying environment prevailed, and the spirit of the team reached an all-time high. A fantastic opportunity presented itself, and the moment was just right to seize it. Sharp and decisive shots brought them down one after another in a matter of seconds, within a very short amount of time. The search proceeded without any interruptions. Despite the fact that the boars became frightened and dispersed, we were nevertheless able to avoid our ice aim. During the subsequent hour, we kept a low profile and quietly surveyed our surroundings. We soon became aware of a herd of wild boars. They charged forward without seeing the trap that was waiting for them. We did not move from our places and waited with bated breath until the prey brought itself into plain view. After that, the crew suddenly started firing, and a barrage of bullets began to pour down on them.